What do you do when somebody is so angry? Like they are just vomiting anger all over you. I know what I do, but first a story. I can remember back when I was a 7th grade math teacher and I had to call a mom about her son's behavior. I shared a positive about her child, and then I shared the recurring and negative behavior and asked her for help. She was not having any of it. It was my fault. Her child was perfect in every way. She was so over the top with her yelling and lying that all I could do was laugh. Try not to laugh. It triggers more anger. I haven't experienced that crazy anger too often in my life. My triggering interactions typically pop up with my husband or my kids. I'll share an example of working through that later in the video. This is what I teach my clients to do when somebody is super angry. Step 1, take a deep breath and assess the situation. If you are in danger, walk away. Step 2, if you feel safe, stay and imagine an invisible shield coming down between you and the person. Stay with me, this gets good and it's effective. Now you can imagine all that anger staying on the other side of the invisible shield with the person. This imagery reminds you to breathe and try not to get sucked into whatever's going on there. Remember, their anger may have been triggered by something that you did or said, but their anger isn't about you. They've created a story in their head based on their past experiences and their current emotional state. You might want to react and get on the defensive, but that will just create more negativity, and then you give them your power. We've all been there and regretted it afterwards. Type "been there" in the comments. It might feel good for a minute to react, but then the situation crashes and burns. This is what we want to avoid. When somebody's angry, what you see with your eyes is someone losing it, out of control, maybe not making any sense, or just completely overreacting. But really, what's going on inside them is they are hurting or they are scared. Angry and overwhelmed reactions equal hurt and scared deep down. The angry person feels like they can take control and feel powerful if they react to the hurt and scared instead of trying to deal with what's going on inside of them. They feel empowered and protected through the anger. Their reaction is also probably the way that's been modeled to them about how to deal with uncomfortable things as they were growing up. I teach my clients to take a breath, visualize the invisible shield coming down, cues them to stay in their peace, and then I teach them to see a scared little version of this person sitting on that angry person's shoulder. So you see an angry person, they're out of control, the shield comes down, you stay in your peace, and you see the out of control person with the little one sitting on their shoulder. This will remind you that anger is the person's way of protecting themselves, but really they feel scared inside. A majority of the time, we know the person that's angry and we know the hurt that they've experienced as a child or even as an adult. This perspective allows you to have compassion and not react with anger or judgment. You might feel yourself wanting to get back at them, but you know matching anger with anger isn't productive. We don't want to match a negative emotion with another negative or annoyed or judgmental emotion if we want to have peace and find a resolution. It can be challenging for sure, but don't start a tennis match of anger. The more you can catch yourself and practice this visualization and change your perspective, the more automatic this response becomes. A fundamental truth is everybody just wants to be heard and seen. So after they have angrily expressed themselves, while you're standing there behind your protective shield, take a breath and then you can say, "I see you're hurting. Yeah, that's tough." The more you can acknowledge them and they feel heard and seen, then they will begin to calm down. Notice I said begin. It's hard to go from vomiting anger to "I'm fine." After you've acknowledged their pain, then you have choices. You can continue with the "I feel you're hurt. What else is coming up for you?" or "How can I help?" Then notice how they respond and move forward in a way that seems most helpful. If they haven't calmed down, then you can say, I need to think about what you've said. Let's take a break. I need to process how you feel and how I feel. Then we can come back together and discuss this. Then you leave. My clients have found this process super effective in calming the situation. Sometimes the anger subsides just because the angry person is confused that you're not coming back at them with negative energy. I will say this is a cultivated skill that doesn't come naturally to me when I am taken off guard. If I know something might go south, I can set my intention for grace and inquiry. Then I'm in my power and the interaction transforms into a blessed situation because I am coming from my power of calm, peace, and compassion. But when I'm taken off guard, I can definitely react. Typically, this is with my husband and kids. Put an emoji in the comments if you can relate. Our immediate family definitely gets the best of us, but they also get to see us when we are not at our best. I've gotten really good at noticing my reactions, pausing, apologizing for my reactions, and coming back into grace in order to connect and understand. The other day, my husband came home and we kissed and shared niceties. Then he said something, and I can't even remember what it was, but I got triggered by it and I reacted. I noticed almost right away that I was responding in a way I did not want to. I said out loud, "Stop, this is not how I want to respond. Let me try it again." The problem was I was still emotionally triggered, so I tried to say it better, but it wasn't any better. And I said, "Nope, this isn't better." Me noticing my behavior and trying to upgrade it softened him. And by this point, I was in a better emotional state. And I came up with a more graceful response, and we ended up laughing. Now we've both moved up the emotional scale to a more positive vibration and emotion, which allowed us to truly share. Not only were we truly communicating, but we turned a negative into a real connection moment where we were both so grateful that we have someone where we may not always show up as our best self, but we know we'll both apologize, regroup, and we both want to create a more effective and loving way to communicate. And these are the moments where people feel valued and understood. Whether someone is vomiting anger at you or you just get triggered, monitoring your emotional state helps you stay in your power. You can always have more compassion with the other person if you recognize that something prior to your interaction has happened and they've created a story about it and now they're in a low vibration, a bad mood. If they're chronically angry, then the process I shared earlier of the invisible shield, take a breath, acknowledge their hurt, and asking how you can help really brings a calm and understanding to the situation. It also opens the door for real communication. It builds trust with the other person that you're not judging them or trying to breeze over their feelings or just want them to stop being angry. You're validating them in a calm and compassionate way and then asking, how can I help? When people feel seen and heard, they begin to move up the emotional scale. They move from anger to sharing their frustration. Anger is a lower vibration than frustration. If this is a loved one or a good friend and they start to get angry again, then I say, I love you so much. I'm starting to get sucked into this negativity, which isn't going to help the situation. So I'm going to walk away and we can chat later. I love you. And then I walk away. I have 2 other videos for you to go watch when this one's over. One of my favorite strategies I teach my clients and I call order up. This is how order up works. So not at the time when you are having any kind of tension, but at a time where y'all are both in a high vibration and just talking, you will explain that you notice that they have this recurring negative pattern that comes up. And you've already talked about that thoughts create your reality, and that if you continually focus on something, then you're going to experience more of it, or it just triggers more negative reactions. Like if we can talk through it, And if I can help you find a resolution or help you up-level your thought or make a change or perspective change, then great. But if you're just continually complaining, negative, that starts to affect me, and I'm not being of any help. I'm gonna exit that situation and come back whenever I can be of more help. And so the way I'm gonna do this is I'm just gonna say, order up. And for me, that is me saying all of that. Like going through a drive-through, you place your order and you get exactly what you say to them when you get up to the drive window. Whatever you said, they are gonna give you. And so that's what I believe about our words, is that our words help create our reality. And so when you are just continually sharing this information that I don't feel like is blessing you, I'm gonna say, order up. You have just placed an order for all of that negativity in your life. Enjoy. I'm not gonna say all of that. I'm just gonna say, order up. I'm gonna tell you I love you because I do. And then I'm gonna walk away. And then when you're in a space that you really wanna talk it out or up-level the conversation that can move you towards a resolution, then I'll be happy to participate. But I'm not gonna get sucked in because it gets me all triggered and it doesn't help the situation at all. So, order up. You need to go watch the video because you really have to have this conversation explaining this ahead of time when somebody is calm and not triggered. After you've had the conversation, then if that person is in a negative spiral and you say, order up, I love you, and you walk away, that person knows you mean our thoughts create our reality, and your thoughts are ordering up all that negativity. And do you actually want to live what you're speaking? This technique is super effective. So go watch, order up, and then remember to say, order up, I love you, and walk away. It is awesome because you don't get sucked into their negativity, and you don't have to try to change their mood or try to get them to see the good, because you can't anyway when they're in a lower vibration. After this video, go watch the order up video. Please come back later and comment on how well this technique works. Back to my response to being triggered with my husband. I have another YouTube video called Inner Peace, Emotional Regulation and Mindset Mastery, that shares how your emotional state affects everything and how monitoring your emotions is so important that we learn to emotionally regulate the emotions and feelings that arise in us. If you're still here, I love your desire to uplevel your interactions with others and uplevel yourself. Please subscribe and comment and come back as I share more ways to connect to the real you and show up in a way that blesses your life. Please direct message me on Instagram or Facebook, or visit shannoncorporon.com if you're ready to break free from limitations by connecting to your vision, your truth, and upgrading your programming. I coach people who are ready to step into their freedom, body, mind, and spirit in ways that empower their lives. You are blessed and you are a blessing. Let's live that life. Much love. See you in the order up video or the emotions video. They're linked below.